Hi Silicon Beach! I'm with Mark Karzan. He is the CEO of RelishMix. And RelishMix is a really interesting platform where they take social data and they take the marketing and turn it into marketing intelligence, and then that is used for entertainment branding. And the background behind this is going to be really interesting because Mark's background is incredible. He's been nominated for multiple Emmys with major networks and social media and marketing campaigns and whatever you need to drive that social marketing online. This is the guy. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started and how you saw the need for RelishMix and exactly what it is that you're doing with it.
Well, thanks Jude for having me on your show.
Thank you.
In sunny Southern California.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today.
Yeah. I came out of television in New York. I worked at NBC for a long time at Saturday Night Live and Late Night with David Letterman and early days of MTV and Showtime and lots of cable when cable was really taking off, which is kind of what's happening all over again years later. But and then I have been involved in lots of launch campaigns. So over the years I've worked on fall campaigns for networks, lots of launch campaigns for TV shows, marketing campaigns for feature films at studios and trailer shops. So I've been on both sides, the marketing side and the production side. I've actually pitched and sold a TV show of my own, which was exciting and quite a process. So what we bring to the table is understanding what goes on at the studio and the network level in terms of their needs and their stresses and the volume of content that they have to wrestle with. So about 2 years ago I was running digital marketing campaigns on a bunch of different TV shows and social media tracking, trying to help the production companies and the networks understand how these different moving parts were performing, and then even more than that, how to report that. And we couldn't find any tools that did that well across multiple platforms. I mean, there was a little bit of Twitter tracking and some Facebook tools, nothing for YouTube. And so we decided to build our own. And so that's what RelishMix is. RelishMix is a cross-platform content management tool that helps you plan and roll things into the future and figure out what's effective, what your awareness is, depending on what department you're in at the network or the studio. So it gets very complicated very quickly when you look at any given show or movie that has hundreds of different digital and social media moving parts. What is working, what's performing, what's taking off compared to the competition. And then it becomes completely out of control with thousands and thousands of moving parts. So that's what we do. We collect the data, we package it, and we report it.
So Mark, how is this in any way helping maybe the evolution of movie tracking? Is that something that RelishMix takes part in?
Absolutely, and we're involved in a bunch of different projects at different levels of marketing campaigns. But the reinvention of the tracking system is obviously something that every studio is looking at. Focus groups and exit polls and email questionnaires, which have been used over the last 10, 20 years, are now being revisited in a big way. And social is certainly an obvious opportunity to do that. The ability to, in the same way with television, to collect this gross and large volume of data as it's happening and as content's being distributed and then redistributed domestically and then internationally. That's something that we've really refined. So we have a huge amount of traction in that space. But for the studios, for them to understand who their audience is, where they are, what they're responding to, can help them make decisions in terms of media buys or maybe creative switch ups or buying time on different networks because they find that there's a different audience that they got.
So another tool for listening to online chatter. That's kind of the buzzword this year is social media is listening, right? Yeah? Everybody's listening, seeing what's going on and shaping it for that. So you pretty much go into all the social media platforms as well as whatever's just out there online in general and scoop it all up, kind of put it in one place, and then that's analyzed in order for them to see whether it's going to be consumable friendly or that they're targeting the right ideas.
Well, here's what we've seen over the last year and a half especially is, depending on who we're sitting with, everybody's got a different question.
Maybe give an example. Who have you worked with?
Well, TV, programming and marketing executives that are doing promotions on a show that hasn't aired yet. Well, there's really no data to collect, and so cross-promotional tools and techniques using, obviously, all of these things seem obvious, but when you start adding up the layers and layers of content,
and the time it takes to do that,
it becomes extremely overwhelming. So sure, you can follow a Facebook page and see how it's growing, and you can, collect hashtag, measurement, and you can watch a YouTube video or 2 or 5. But to see an overall trend in how content is growing and how it syncs up with marketing calendars and release dates across different departments, that's where things become extremely complex, and that's the problem that we're solving, is putting it all in one place. So,
is that do you have a special program that does that? Did you invent something that helps you as your own SEO basically for?
We have a platform that we've created that searches for content, tracks content, and compares content. So you can compare any TV show across any network in sync with another. So a show on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, or the CW, you can see how these shows are performing across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in real time. And the same applies to movies. So we're tracking every movie going backwards about 1.5 years, 2 years, and into the future. So studios can see how a release for this coming Christmas is tracking compared to the other 10 movies that are coming out that same week.
Excellent. Now, this is just for studio executives. If I was a writer and I wanted to write a movie or think of a TV show, can I use your search engine for my own research?
Absolutely. And what development execs, who are sort of looking at ideas, who want to keep track of, whether it's talent, that's an obvious, just keeping track of talent who you think may bring something to the party with their social reach and their influence. And also, if you're a production company and you're looking at how networks are promoting shows across social networks, just to see what works, to get a feel for how you can create social content that promotes your show, that's a useful opportunity. And what we've seen over the last few years with some, especially TV shows that have taken off across social networks, there are very clear pinpoints of how content's being promoted and distributed across these different platforms. Scandal's the new poster child of a show that has turned to social as a way of finding an audience, and then obviously feeding and fueling them, in between, while on hiatus and leading up to, fall season. They're sort of rewriting the playbook on that. And so producers we're seeing are becoming more savvy to that. So much of what we talk about is like obvious, but challenging. It seems obvious that a producer and talent and writers would get involved in this sort of tactic, but it's just hard to do. But the other thing is getting the network to, trust that you can handle this properly. The networks now send out do's and don'ts lists to talent before shows go on the air, telling them exactly what you can and cannot do.
In your social media, just
yes.
Yeah.
Here's what you can and can't. You should not post this. You can't. When in doubt,
That's
don't.
pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, because you don't
Yeah.
want to give things away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Storylines, which
Yeah.
are big trigger points.
Yeah.
Brand situations. So, the sophistication at the network level in terms of managing producers, but also producers knowing how to manage the network to get their way across these social platforms. There's a big give and take.
Well, I think RelishMix and what you've created is pretty much the epitome of what Silicon Beach is. It's tech meeting Hollywood, and that's what I think makes this area special, makes what you're doing special. Thank you for telling us all about it. Check out relishmix.com, and thank you very much, Mark, for being on the show today.
Thanks, Jude. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.